All right, well, let's do Fire Force first, cause I feel away. I'm not very happy. I I actually hate this a lot. This is some bullshit. Especially I just hate like bird in the cage stories with like characters who are extremely capable.
I agree. Yeah.
Like I just really, really, really hate it, especially because Maki has been presented as a character who is, I wouldn't say like extremely like she has like, you know, the regular worries of a woman who just so happens to be like built the fuck up, and it's just like, you know, I still want a husband and stuff like that, but like basically she's her own person, and she just does regular stuff, like she wants a relationship, she wants to have family, all kind of stuff like that. But then bring in her dad and her brother who are like, they're overprotective to the point to where it's toxic. And it's just like, oh, I hate this. I was like, she's only in this position because she's a woman. I was like, if Maki were maybe like a male character, I feel like this storyline would be completely different.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this fucking sucks. And I don't know. I feel like the mom, I might play a bigger role. I mean, you would know this, but like, I feel like the personality that the mom presented, where she's like no nonsense, like military at the house, stuff like that. I'm like, she seems pretty independent herself. So why is she letting them just like run over Maki? But then also I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's letting them do this because she's like, Maki needs to learn how to speak up for her fucking self against them.
Right. So, I mean, I'll try my best not to spoil the direction that things are going. I'll talk about some of the things that I don't like first, and then maybe some things I do like about this presentation. So, one of the things that I definitely dislike, and I felt this way when I was reading, and I feel this way now that it's animated, is that for a lot of reasons, Maki's character didn't actually get a lot of development in the first couple of arcs. She had feats, and we certainly learned more about her in relation to all the other members of the Eighth Squad, and that's great. So like we feel like, you know, you see her in a scene, and her interactions with different folks make sense, and you know they've clearly grown, and everyone's really cool. But because they didn't do a lot of like, they waited until now to dive into giving you information about her family and her background. Everything that she's doing here and everything that she's done before is still consistent, right? We find out basically that the dual personality is not just a tsundere thing, because that's not her character's not a tsundere at all. But like when she gets angry about her looks, now we sort of have a reason as to like why that's a feature of her personality, and because everyone in her family is like that, everyone has this dual personality. And then B, we find out specifically where her psychological hang-ups are coming from, and some of it is like cultural, but also I get the feeling that because she was a daddy's girl, that there's this like, the whole family's military or police, so you have this like strong traditionalist vision of a family structure, and the fact that she was doted on so heavily, and yet it's clear that her being so strong physically is a result of trying to, I would say, like, reject and live up to a lot of the expectations that were coming from her family, right? They're all military. Her mother is like a crazy hard ass. Like, she gels instantly with like the captain and the lieutenant, Hinawa, like being like muscle freaks, because it's like perfect. This is exactly what I need to like do the opposite of like being locked up, you know, doing like secretary work. I'm gonna get ripped. I'm gonna get buff. I'm a kick ass, whatever. So everything that's occurring is not in any way breaking the characterization that we've gotten so far. The problem is that it's coming boom, 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 all at once, and I feel like some of the backlash that anyone might feel to this is not necessarily the facts of it, but because it's so concentrated. Like if we had maybe like gotten an indication that like, you know, her family was traditional, and specifically that she was in the Eighth kind of against the wishes of her dad. Like he says, is it Oki or OG? I don't remember what the family name is, but like
Oze.
There we go. When he says that Hinawa must have tricked you, right?
Yes.
Like, because he can't believe that his delicate little daughter is like so gung-ho about being like a beefy fighter, and like, because she still has that personality of still being like a wannabe cute girl. Like, she likes that. That's part of who she is. And so like when they slot into that father-daughter doting, relationship, which is not toxic at all, they both clearly like each other and like it. Like, like when they slip into that, I think he fools himself into thinking that like that's all she is, whereas everyone else in their family has this like dual personality and it's fine. He doesn't believe that that other personality, the one that wants to be on the front lines, that wants to like, put herself at risk, that is kind of the opposite of what he thinks that she's going to be. He's kind of rejecting that and pushing that onto other people. Oh, it can't be because my daughter wants this. She must have been tricked. It must be something else. And so you can kind of tell the direction that this is going. Like, Arthur kind of says it in the episode that, like, he just rejected.
Oh yeah, Arthur got it immediately.
Yeah, he's like, nah, she's still here. Don't fucking talk to me about bullshit. Which actually makes sense, since he's the one in the group who entire like power and personality feeds off of delusion. So if there's some reality that he doesn't like, he just erases it and just replaces it with whatever the fuck he wants to do. And also, Maki's a fucking weirdo like everybody else there, so that's where she belongs.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that's where she belongs. Everybody knows it. And, the question is, how does she overcome her deference to her father? But yeah. And so I'm sort of segueing from things like I don't like, which was loading all this information about the family into like one episode, to what I absolutely do like about it is because this is a commentary about traditional conservative values. And I don't think that the show makes out anyone here to be a villain, right? The father's not like as much as he's played the general, rather, as much as he's played as both a hard ass and comic relief, like he's not a cartoon villain. His interest is just, I want to protect my daughter from dangerous things, and I'm going to do it in the way that I know how to do it because I am a commanding officer in the military, and I can just tell her what to do because I tell everybody what to do. And that's clearly wrong, but it's not motivated by hatred or, bigotry. I don't even think his position is that women can't do it. It's just that his daughter, is a special snowflake and therefore should not be on the front lines getting her face punched in or blown apart by terrorists, which is actually a fairly natural reaction. I think anybody can understand that. Maybe you don't agree, maybe you don't do the same thing, but you can definitely. Your son just was almost killed by a suicide bomber. You're about to go take like a lot of your people into an area that is highly likely to get a lot of them killed. Obviously, if you have the opportunity to try to like get your daughter out of that situation, most people, even people who fully agree with autonomy and everything else, might just break their own rules to protect what they think is protecting their family. So he's can be viewed in a sympathetic way, and then everybody else who's involved is kind of like, the brother didn't have an opinion about her coming back. It was the leadership of the 8th, and I think that like that's the real
that's like a betrayal.
In a sense it is, but I would say that's the conflict, right? The conflict is that in fact all these people do care about her, but they care about her well-being, not necessarily her opinion. And so that, again, without giving anything away, that's the drama. The drama is, how do those characters arrive at a if not a compromise, a learning moment where they can move forward. So I don't look at this so much as like her being caged up, because honestly, even at what we've all seen today, if she went to her dad and said, fuck it, I'm doing this, he wouldn't actually physically stop her from doing it. She says it.
Wouldn't he even be able to?
Well, that's one thing. But then she also says that like maybe the problem here is her expectations, not necessarily the other people around her. She's just going with the flow. So that's an opportunity for growth on her part to just stand up and say, hey, this is what I want. Because she clearly does not, when she has that conversation with the other secretary, she's like, that woman is presenting her opinion about her status in life as if that's the way it should be for all for what was the phrase she used? Like all the people in the cage or something like that. And
yeah, it was something like that.
yeah, and like Maki obviously doesn't really believe that about herself. So it's
oh well, hell no.
No. So like that's there's a one-way ticket with this story, and I don't think it's the resolution of it is not terrible.
Well, that's good. That's about all I cared about in the episode.
Yeah. It was a story progression episode. We also met a couple of new characters. We met the captain of the second, who's another crazy person.
Yeah, I'm literally just like, yeah, no one can exist in this world unless they're a little bit loony.
Yeah.
Like that's just the understood for right now. You got to have a little bit of to go along with your bullshit.
Correct. I guess like in that vein,